is Bruce Gray. I'm broker and one of the owners of United Country McDaniel-Gray Realty. As we say every week, I'll just tell you where we're located. We're located at 217 South Railroad Avenue right here in Brookhaven, Mississippi. If you have questions about real estate, you can call our office at 601-835-2000. We're always glad to come to you every Friday, and we talk about everything that's real estate related and beyond. And today we want to welcome two of our guests, Keith Kavix and John Bass. How are y'all doing?
Good morning.
Doing good.
John is one of our sponsors with Bass Land Services. We also have another sponsor, is Levi Patton with Farm Bureau, and we appreciate him as well. Other sponsors coming on board in the weeks to come. And Keith is one of our land pros here in the office, and he always does a good job on the radio, and so does John. We're excited about having them both back today. So how are y'all doing? Everybody good?
Great. Good to be here in Home Seekers Paradise.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to talk about something that actually earlier this week I was in a conversation with somebody, and they were talking about something real estate related, and I said, that's actually a myth. That's really not true. And they're like, no, that's not right. And I said, yeah, it actually is. So I did some research, and I thought we'd talk about some myths in real estate, some misconceptions that people, both buyers and sellers, might not really understand. And so we're eager to share what we know as land pros, and also John is a investor himself, so he brings a lot to the table. He can give us some good advice as well. So let's just jump right into this. We're going to talk about some different misconceptions in real estate. And the first one is looking for a house is the first step to purchasing a home. So in other words, get out and looking for a house is the first step. What do y'all think?
That's not the first step. The first step is you need to talk to your bank or financial institution and get pre-approved and actually get a letter of pre-approval.
Okay.
That will go a long ways toward your offer if you find a house.
That's the first step so many people take is they start riding around. They go by various places in town, pick up the real estate magazine and start looking through, I like this, I'm going to ride it. Start riding around and looking. They don't have any idea what they can afford yet.
Right.
And that pre-approval means so much. I mean,
it does. And listen, I've been in that boat before. I've been in a position where I got ready to buy a home, and it's a little bit intimidating to go talk to a lender, but just know that these individuals, it's their job, it's what they do, and they know what they're talking about, right? I mean, they give you really good advice. And so they understand this is kind of probably an uncomfortable topic for you to talk about your finances, but the truth is it's really needed. Isn't that right?
That's right. Window shopping is fine as long as you're looking for clothes or furniture or anything like that. When you start window shopping for a house and you get ready to buy it, you're taking the chance that if you find the one you like, you may find it right off the bat. But if you haven't been pre-approved, then you go get your pre-approval, come back, that house may be gone.
That's right.
In the market that we have right now where houses and land are selling so fast, you may find one that you actually could afford without that pre-approval letter. Somebody else may come in and make an offer and get it before you can get your stuff in place.
That's right. And this happens so often. We talked about this earlier. Let's say we show a property on a Friday afternoon and the buyers just love it. And they say, oh, this is the one I want to try to buy. Well, let's say it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, you're not going to get in contact with your lender and get that ball rolling on Friday afternoon. So you're going to wait till Monday. Well, you run the risk of someone else rolling in that weekend and making an offer and getting into a contract. And it's all because you just weren't prepared as well as you should be.
Well, and two, it would take several days to get the pre-approval.
That's right.
Get your pre-approval. Could take longer than that, but that is something that you need to do that very first thing.
All right. Next misconception, next myth is buying a new home means fewer repairs in the future. So if I'm buying a new house, I shouldn't have any repairs, right?
You shouldn't, but you never know. If you don't know what's going in that house, listen, I built the first house that I ever built. I built the house. I didn't build it myself, but I hired a builder company. I knew nothing about construction. I didn't keep an eye on them. I kind of left them to their own devices. Mm-hmm. We were in the house about 8 years. No, about 4 years. Had foundation issues. When we got somebody come in and check the foundation for us. I had a place under the chimney. The chimney was actually leaning, pulling away from the house. if you don't know what work has gone into that house, then there's always going, and I'm not disparaging builders.
No.
Because there are a lot of good people out there, but as high as items are today, they're gonna cut corners in the speculation house that they're building to try to resell.
Right.
They're looking at the bottom line, what they can make off the sale of this property. It's not gonna be the countertop, it's not gonna be the color paint, it may not be a design you want in there.
There could be things like not as good insulation, which makes the house not so soundproof. You can now hear a conversation in the kitchen from the bedroom that you really shouldn't be able to hear under normal circumstances. So anyway, just because a house is new doesn't mean it's not going to need some type of repairs or upgrading over time. As a matter of fact, go back to that old saying, they don't build them like they used to. You think about these homes that were built 100 years ago, built with a little different quality, right?
Well, your lumber and all now is not near about the quality of lumber that you had.
That's right.
Years ago.
That's right. So I'm not, again, we are blessed living here in Southwest Mississippi. We have a lot of good builders in this area, a lot. Just about all of them are very good at what they do. So we're not saying anything negative about builders at all. We're just saying just because you buy a new house doesn't mean that you don't need to look out for some things, right? Okay.
That's even if you're having a house built. You need to kind of watch what's going on, what's going into it, to be sure, that exactly what you're paying for is going into it.
That's right. Exactly. You do. All right, next myth. You'll need 20% down payment plus closing costs to buy a house. So you got to have 20% down, is that right?
Not in all cases.
Yeah. No, it depends on the type of loan you're getting, who the loan is with. FHA loans, I believe you get by with, 3.5%?
About 3.5%.
Some of them, and there are some local lenders here in town that I know have zero down payment.
So it all starts with, if you have a relationship with a bank, if you have a checking account at a local bank, it's a good idea to start there, right? Just somebody that you know. Talk to a lender there at that bank. If you need other banks to talk to, contact us. We'll be glad to put you in contact with several banks, and you can choose to go talk to multiple banks, right? And find out what's a good fit for you. A lot of that is relationship driven. It's people you feel comfortable talking to and getting their sound advice.
Yeah, not just banks. There's some mortgage companies here in town that do an excellent job of helping you.
That's right. So again, you don't have to have 20% down. You really don't. So you can work this out where you can not have to have that much as a down payment. All right, the next thing builds right off of that. A down payment is the only upfront cost you're going to have, and that's not true, is it?
No. You got, like you said, a home inspection. You got to pay that a lot of times. Closing costs, you have to decide when you're buying it, who's going to pay closing costs. Sometimes the seller will pay some, sometimes they won't.
That's right.
You may, if it's a property, if it's land, you may have where you're going to have an appraisal if you've got a loan.
Survey.
Surveys. And who's going to pay for the survey? And all this is negotiable.
Yeah, that's important to understand. Everything is negotiable, right? Everything. So part of making your offer is not just the price. It's on who pays what closing costs under what contingencies. And John mentioned the survey. That's one of the most expensive ones, right?
It is. It's hard to get a survey right now.
It's hard to get a survey. They're backed up right now. They're busy. But, and again, not every property has to have a survey. A lot of times you can buy it without one. But do you want one? Is your lender are they going to require it?
And sometimes you may buy a property that has a previous survey where you had the plat map and all, of the survey.
Right. And that'll save a lot of time.
That'll save time and money.
Right. You have a good legal description for the property, and it's marked well, and everybody knows what they're selling and what they're buying. That's important.
That makes a difference. You may have a piece of property that you think's 60 acres. It may be surveyed. You may not have but 45.
That's so true. All right, the next myth. There's plenty of time for pre-approval when you find the house that's right for you. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about.
Not in this market.
Not in this market. A lot of sellers in today's market will not even consider your offer unless you have a letter of approval. They won't do it. And they don't have to, because quite often there's multiple buyers who are interested in your home or land. This applies to land as well, right?
Yeah, you know, in some cases now, the people are having to pay over, or offering over list price.
Keith's got a good example. You want to share that story with us briefly?
We recently had a house, we did a comparative market analysis on it and felt like we had a good close price on it. And we got within 24 hours, I had 2 agents looking at it. And the next night, I had one of the agents brought me an offer of $21,000 over
List price.
list price.
Yeah.
And you know, the only problem there is it going to meet appraisal. We're a little nervous, but it did make the appraisal price.
So we're in good shape.
So and it works out good, but it's a crazy market right now. You don't know what's going to happen out there.
That's right.
You know, we just sold a piece of commercial property that it went over the asking price.
Yeah, it did. A unique situation where the buyer felt like he needed to do that to secure it, and it was the best deal for him and for you.
Yeah, but like I say, if that's just in the past, you wouldn't have that.
No,
you wouldn't have people offering over asking price.
And you also have times in there when the buyer may not have the finances to put into help pay closing costs, and sometimes the seller will agree. I mean,
Yeah, you can ask the seller
add
to-
that on
That's right.
and
Some creative
basically
financing.
creative financing.
Well, you can ask the seller to pay most of the closing costs if it's a FHA loan.
Yeah.
In particular, those closing costs can be financed in there quite often. You can also ask the seller to pay up to a certain amount of closing
We
costs.
did that on the property. You know, the one we just sold the other day.
Which is actually a good way to approach it, and that way the seller knows I'm only paying up to, say, $1,000, whatever it may be, and so the seller has peace of mind. You kind of know what you're going to get, what your bottom line is going to be when it's all said and done, and the buyer needs to do their research to figure out what the difference between that might be. So anyway, it's just important to crunch the numbers and look at it all, and that's the value of having a real estate agent involved, having your lender involved. You get some good sound advice. Okay, the next topic, next misconception is you should never offer full price or even close to full price. You should never do that.
In this market, like we were just talking about, you may have to offer over full asking price.
Potentially. Yep.
Now, when I look at buying stuff, I'm buying it for an investment to resell, so I always offer a good bit less than asking price.
What you're looking at it as an investment. Maybe it's a property that you want to do some improvements to it and then turn around and sell it and make a little bit of profit.
It's a big difference whether if you're a family looking for your forever home. You can pay more for that versus me looking for a piece of property that I'm gonna do a little something to turn around and resell in the next month or
Right.
2 months.
Right. So it's all how you approach it. But this old adage that I shouldn't offer full price or close to it is out the window right now. Now that may change as the market changes, but right now if you want it, you just about got to come on up.
Yeah, either you offer full price or more than full price right
Well,
now.
at least close. You just want to make a respectable offer. If you offend a seller, quite often the sellers say, it doesn't matter if you offer me $1 million for this, I'm not going to sell it.
You have done that before. You have offended sellers.
I have indeed on behalf of certain buyers.
Yeah,
But
we have
won't
had
go
that
there.
happen time and again.
Yeah, absolutely, it does happen. That's just part
But
of the
and then in the cases like that though, again, I'm looking to get it cheap as I can, to try to make a profit off of it.
That's right.
Well, in this house we mentioned that we just sold, these people have been looking for a house, and the market is so crazy right now that they had a lot of some
get away
places
from it.
bought out from under them.
Yeah.
And that's the reason they jumped in on this. They were one of the first ones to look at the house, and they said, we want it.
That's right. All right, the next misconception, next myth. You as a buyer do not need a home inspection. You don't really need to spend that money. What are some reasons for having a home inspection?
Give us some examples. You have some, I'm sure.
Oh, there are many. I mean, we've had, I had one a year or so ago that people were buying a house. It was a long way from being finished, but it was framed up for the most part. And they loved it. They were going to come in. There were a lot of building materials sitting around outside the place. And they came in, they said, we want to buy it. and I approached him about a home inspection. I recommend any buyer get a home inspection. Anytime I'm there, I said I recommend it because they'll find things that could cause you problems down the road. Well, they said, no, we don't want a home inspection. We want to buy it as is. But we do want to make a contingency on it that we sell our house. Well, they had trouble selling their house. In the meantime, they were asking if they could take contractors. Took contractors out. Contractors started finding some issues with it, and they wanted to back out. Well, when they didn't have a home inspection done, and they said they were buying it as is, it kind of shut down their options for getting out of the contract.
Right.
And we had to, they got out of it, but they did lose their earnest money.
Yeah. So it's important to really consider. I know the cost of a home inspection is about $450. It can vary.
But it's a lot better to spend that $450 up front than to come out here, 6 months later and spend $10,000-$20,000 on
right.
something that that you did not see.
At least you know what you're buying, and that's the main thing. You have an educated guess on what you're buying.
And with your home inspectors, this is what they do every day, so they know exactly what to look for.
That's right.
Whereas like me or you looking at it, we don't know exactly what to look for.
If you need a home inspector for anything, you can call us. We'll be glad to refer 2 or 3 to you. You can choose who you want to work with. All right, the last thing quickly. If your home or land isn't in great condition, no one will buy it.
Someone will always buy it. May not be what you want for it, but someone will always buy it.
But at the same time too, there are people out there that are looking for those fixer-uppers.
You're right.
With the advent of HGTV, there are a lot of people watching these, and they see a house, and a lot of people have good vision when they walk into a place. You may walk in and go, but they'll walk in and just see a diamond in the rough.
That's right.
Yeah, I have seen some places like that where other people, I would look at them and think, I don't want to fool with this, and other people look at them and say, oh, I can do this, and just end up getting them, fixing them up really, really nice.
Go back a couple of years later, and it's just amazing the difference in it.
You don't even know the same property.
That's right. All right, so if you're listening today and you're thinking about selling your home or land and it's not in great condition, it's okay. You don't have to spend a lot of money to put it on the market. We can market it and try to get it, try to market it to the right buyer, right? And that's the main thing. All right, we're gonna close up here. John, tell people how they can get in contact with you should have any questions.
My phone number is 601-320-2055.
Keith, how about you?
Keith Kavitz, Land Pro, United Country, McDaniel-Gray Realty, 601-201-4048.
I like that Land Pro.
Yep, the best. Talk to y'all later. Have a good week.
That's pretty good.